Well, that was weird. Apparently, no one could see me on the other one, so I had to create a new stream, but here I am. Uh, Hopefully, people can see me now because this is kind of frustrating here. We're going to have to start all over. Let's see if people join this one. And while this is going on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and kill the other stream here because for some reason the other stream wasn't working and no one could see me, which is kind of sucky. All right. So basically, I was talking on the other account, but no one could see me, which I don't understand, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and kill the other stream. I'm sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I was talking. I could see your comments and everything else, and I thought you could see me. But apparently, that was not the case. So we're going to get into this in 1 second. We're going to get into SCOTUS stuff and talk about what is going on. And I'm sorry about that. Let me just make sure the other live stream is dead and not running. So let me go ahead. I'll just go ahead and delete this one here. So we only have one. It's been one of those days. Seriously, it's been one of those days. But we have some exciting news coming up. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Okay, let's get into this. All right, so we're going to be talking about the different cases. Okay, you can see me now. We're good now. Okay. We're going to be talking about the different cases that are going on in SCOTUS because a bunch of them got denied and they all deal with basically the same thing, besides one which got granted cert and not for a Second Amendment reason. And there's another one that deals with suppressors, and we're going to get into that. The other side didn't work, Rich, so we're here now. The Rumble side.
Oh.
So we're going to be getting into these cases. The first case we're going to be talking about is Mackins versus U.S., and this deals with felons with firearms. And Mackins appealed because the circuit court upheld his conviction, and the Supreme Court said, we don't really care, so we're not going to be talking about that. The second case, and let me go ahead and share my screen here, so just so you can see this. And this is all coming from Crump Alerts, where I break down Supreme Court cases every single Monday. And for $19.99 a month, you can get this breaking news and a daily briefing every day. The second one was Ramirez versus the United States, and that was also denied. Ramirez sued because they upheld his conviction, and he was suing because they basically had a categorical firearms ban on him because he a prior felony conviction. And then again in Connor versus the United States, which deals with 922G Section 1, which deals with individuals with nonviolent felonies. So even if you're a nonviolent felony, let's say you get convicted of tax fraud or food stamp fraud, what that can do is strip you of your firearms rights forever. Wow. And the Supreme Court did not take that up. Now we got to talk about whether 18 U.S.C. 922N violates the Constitution. A guy named Jackson was arguing it does. And this basically deals with nonviolent felons. Can you disarm a whole class of people without requiring an individual showing that that one member is dangerous? And basically the same case, Supreme Court said, we don't want to take that right now.
Yeah, all right, can I ask you a question about when they grant certiorari versus not? Do we know it's like in 6-3 Supreme Court decision, or we just
could know? We could know if one of them writes a dissent, but we don't have that.
So it's just yay nay.
Just yay nay on most of these. We could know though. They could put that out. but
Okay.
none of these cases they chose to. Edwards versus United States. Guess what this one's about?
Lifetime ban on possession of firearms by all felons codified.
Yeah, if it's 18 UFC 922 G subsection 1.
And it's New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin.
Whether they're referencing Bruin, the same Bruin framework, you cannot do that. Scott versus the United States, which is 18 UFC 922 G1.
Again,
same argument, same thing. You would figure that they would have taken one of these, but they did not.
Are we going to get a marijuana case since it's 420?
No.
Okay.
What's up, Jordan Vinro? No hardware cases today. Well, kind of. There is a hardware case. Peterson versus the United States. George Peterson, who is a friend of the channel, was convicted of selling an unserialized suppressor. He argued that he argued against the NFA. There was a bunch of different organizations that came out in support of him. There was a bunch of amicus briefs, Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, American Suppressor Association helped him out. Cooper and Kirk represented him. Basically, you had all the
heavy hitters.
In the gun world.
Question: was this in one of those states where you could manufacture your own suppressor if it stayed within the state?
No, none of all those are symbolic laws. So
Okay.
you're still going to get caught up on federal charges if you do that.
Okay.
Do that. The Supreme Court decided to deny that as well. Wow. So we got movement on those cases, which was bad. There was one other case that was denied. Well, a couple other cases were denied, but Dalser versus United States, which also dealt with 18 UFC 922 G subsection 1. And I encourage everyone to learn about these laws and subsections and everything else. There's a couple more, but that was also denied, and they kind of made the same arguments in this. Morissette versus the United States also dealt with 922 G subsection 1, which nonviolent felons. This guy had a drug conviction and a property offense, but no violent felonies, and they denied that case as well. But basically, it looks like all the cases dealing with felons with firearms were all punted. I believe once you get out of prison, your rights should be restored 100%.
Every other right is. Well, all right, your right to vote. In Florida, you could actually get it restored.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I believe that Second Amendment applies to everyone. So I would go farther. And I might be going out on a limb here, but I think the Second Amendment applies to violent felons too.
But I now agree with you in Dark, where I originally disagreed, is yes, either you're rehabilitated and allowed out in society or you're not. And if you're out in society, you should have your property and your rights restored.
I 100% agree. Now we got Hunter versus San Francisco. And this whether California's practice of automatically and prolongating disarming individuals subject to nonviolent restraining orders violates the Second Amendment. So, as applied to the states via the 14th Amendment. So let's go ahead and break that down. If you're under a restraining order, the states and Rahimi upheld this can temporarily disarm you. California extends that, so even when the restraining order expires or goes away, you don't get your gun rights back right away. So they're saying, Hunter was arguing that violates the Second Amendment and the 14th Amendment as applies to the states. Because what the 14th Amendment does is, before that, there was an argument whether the Bill of Rights applied to the states. The 14th Amendment solved that by saying, yes, of course, the Bill of Rights applies to the states. So the 14th Amendment did not make the Bill of Rights apply to the state. It affirmed that the Bill of Rights applied to the states. So there you go. But Hunter did not have an incredible threat of physical harm, no history of violence. So they were depriving him for 5 years of his right to bear arms, even though they did not have any right to do so.
So denied again.
Denied. There was another case here, which we're going to get into, and this one's interesting. This is Baird versus United States. It examines whether convictions under 18 U.S.C. 922G, which prohibits certain individuals from possessing firearms that have moved in interstate commerce. So this was granted certiorari.
I don't know what that means. Not the certiorari, but the interstate commerce part.
Yeah, well, he was challenging 922G. So they granted certiorari, but they did what's called a limited grant of certiorari. Because you can get a full grant of certiorari. They could argue, because they're arguing Second Amendment and stuff like that. But they denied cert on the Second Amendment issues.
Wow, that's like splitting the baby.
But it's limited to the following question: whether Stinson versus United States, which is a 93 case, still correctly states that rules for the deference that the courts must give to the commentary to use sentencing guidelines. So it's all about sentencing guidelines. It's not about Second Amendment issues at all. So even though this is a Second Amendment case, they neutered the Second Amendment out of there. And got rid of that. So that's what they did.
I'm just looking at some of the comments here I don't want to repeat.
Yeah.
So how do I spin any of this into breaking news 6-3 Supreme Court decision changing the face of the Second Amendment forever?
Well, this came out this morning. I haven't had time. I've been doing other stuff. I've been working on some really, really important stuff. Rich can testify is extremely important stuff.
I don't know. You haven't told me.
Well, you can say that at least that, some of those stuff will further the Second Amendment I've been working on.
I'm not sure if I could say that.
You can say that. Rich and I had a long talk about some of the stuff we talked about.
Yeah, this is impressive. So,
yeah. And that's it. That's all you can say. But yeah, so I've been dealing with that all day. So I haven't had a chance to break this down, and that's why you're not seeing breaking news, because it broke this morning at 9:30 and it's now almost 5:30. So 8 hours later, I don't consider that breaking news.
I think you get an 18-month window on that, or at least this one channel I watch does.
I don't know what your issue with that guy is, but I don't know. So I don't consider this breaking news because it happened at 9:30 this morning and it's now 5:30, so 8 hour difference. I don't want to, fly up the breaking news clickbait channel stuff.
Yes.
But we did not get any hardware cases quite yet.
Any what cases?
Hardware cases. Besides the Suppressor case, which is kind of a hardware case. But the hardware case that people care about is stuff like Duncan, magazines, assault weapons, and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
We did not get any of that. It's almost all, besides Peterson, dealing with felons in possession of firearms. They knocked all those cases gone. Wow. So we're left with and Peterson, which dealt with Suppressor. And George Peterson's a freaking great guy, by the way.
So my question about this is, quite often what we talk about is that the Supreme Court is looking for a specific case that would be like the umbrella in would set the standard for all of these other cases. Is there anything like that going on, or they're just like, no, we're not dealing with this?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be. I'm not going to claim that I know something I don't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I had them in there, but I had to recreate everything because the original stream, no one could see me or hear me. It was just me. So I spun up a second stream really quick to get that. And plus, watching you gives me money, human money. So yeah, that's why you don't see anything in the description. But yeah, none of these cases surprise me. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, but this is exactly what I figured was going to happen. I hope they take a hardware case. We should know something soon. But honestly, right now, I am thinking that we probably... This is what I'm thinking. I hope I'm wrong, so don't crush me if I'm wrong, because I hope I'm wrong. I think what's going to happen is that with the hardware cases that they've already decided. And I don't think that...
Decided to grant cert or not cert, or...
Not cert, and someone's writing a dissent, and that's why we haven't got the hardware case.
Okay.
Cases. I honestly, 100%, I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. But I want to be honest with you guys, and I'm going to tell you what I think, and I think that's probably the most likely outcome of what's going on here.
Now, when we get cert from the Supreme Court, is granted or denied, is this like April 20th? Is that what happens, or is it more of a...
Mondays, they usually come out with orders list.
Okay.
At 9:30 on Mondays. That's why I do my updates. My Supreme Court updates go out between 9:30 and 10 on Monday. But before we get out of here, before we do anything else, I do want to do one thing. I want to say hi to someone. Gary. This is Gary. He is a viewer of the channel.
Oh, cool.
That's him with Jordan Vinro. He watches the channel.
At NRAM?
At NRAM. So, yep. So he came by to say hi to Jordan because he saw Jordan on the channel. And he is a viewer on the channel. So I just want to say hi, Gary. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you for your service. I see the little airborne tab on top of your hat.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I just wanted to point that out for that. But yeah, all these cases denied cert. Monday we'll probably get more cases denied cert. Maybe we'll get one granted. We'll have to see. They don't like to take multiple Second Amendment cases in a single term.
Now, is that 1 year? Is the term 1 year or 6 months?
Well, this is the spring.
Okay, so spring. So it's more, because they don't do 4. I know they definitely don't do 4.
No.
Okay, so there's a spring and a fall, basically.
Yeah. What I think is going to happen, Michigan's conservative. Are you Gary? What I think is going to happen is that they're going to take up like one case. I don't know which case it is. Probably next fall, whatever, but we'll have to see. One of the interesting things is a lot of people like, why do they deny Second Amendment cases? And to be fair to them, it's just not Second Amendment cases. And I'm going to show you their order list just so you guys have an understanding on how many cases they get to your review. For us, it's kind of frustrating, and it looks like they're punting on all Second Amendment cases, but there is a lot of cases here. So I'm just gonna bring up the order list, and this is just for today. I'm gonna show you how many cases they denied and how many they granted. So right here, I'm bringing this up. Well, they granted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So they granted 16 cases today.
Out of?
Yeah. 17, 18 cases. Now, 18 cases, right? Now look how many cases they denied.
Ouch. And that's like
I'm not going to even
just
count
the first page. Yeah.
So 3 cases. Oh, yeah. And then you can see some of the arguments that they put down for not all cases, but some. There's, like dissenting opinions, like Judge Jackson, who dissents more than anyone else because she dissents with her own people, her own liberal people. So
I can't say what I'm thinking.
Dude, like even the people, Judge Jackson, even
when you can't tell what a woman is, there's no logic there.
One of the cases that I feel extremely bad about getting denied cert is there was a case with a woman in Maryland that got pulled over. She came from Virginia in Maryland, and she had a concealed carry, and she thought her concealed carry, and she didn't mean to, but she was like, "Hey, I got a concealed carry permit. I have a gun. Didn't mean to bring it into Maryland, but I did," and they arrested her. She also used it in self-defense as well. So she used the gun in self-defense, so they kind of knew that she had it. But they charged her with having a gun in Maryland, even though she had a concealed carry permit in Virginia, and she used it for self-defense. But that case got denied cert, so her conviction is upheld. So there we go. But any questions before we go? And I just want to show on Wednesday night over on Ticks and Bangs. So if you go to youtube.com/TixBangs, we're going to be doing a watch podcast, and we're going to be giving away this puppy right here. So we give away a watch every Wednesday night. We also have a Patreon. You can find everything at tixandbangs.com or Patreon.
And you wouldn't watch.
I just showed it. And also we're giving away watches. So if you join the Ticks and Bangs Patreon, you automatically get a free watch, and you get entered to win about $400 worth of watches a month. And we also have another free watch giveaway. Go to tixandbangs.com. You look for the TSO PRX giveaway, and you can win a TSO PRX. I never get an answer, which tells me if 2 cases would put advocate law practices out of business. Let's read this. Sorry. I saw it before it scrolled up. Drew Bradley says, I never get an answer, which tells me if the 2A cases would put advocates and law practices out of business, meaning they are part of the problem, just a thought. You can't make the Supreme Court take a case. And there's a lot of good organizations out there that are pushing SCOTUS and other people to take cases. I myself, above comment, I didn't see it, Drew. Sorry. Sue Giffords Foundation for a couple of $1 billion. What they did to Alex Jones case, being that they have made such normalized, flip the script and hit them with a few billion.
Amen.
All right,
You know, and who cares? They'll go bankrupt. They'll start another crazy organization. Doesn't matter.
yeah.
And you know, I love Alex Jones. I mean, who can tell you about the gay frogs better than him?
That is true. You know, that wasn't exactly false,
I mean,
right?
no, it was true. It was.
It was definitely true.
Frogs turning gay is actually true, but it's so great when he tells it. That and the fish people. There's like 3 Alex Jones that are like my favorite, but
yeah, but the frogs turning gay stuff, that's actually true. That was actually true. Because I got a scientist on YouTube. He's a biologist, a microbiologist, and also like a scientist. He does a lot of research. And so he's talking about the chemicals and how Alex Jones was right. And this guy's a liberal, like freaking flaming liberal. And he was like, yeah, well, you know, you gotta call balls to balls and strikes to strikes. And this time he was 100% right.
Well, we have meth gators in Florida.
That is true. No, it's not MDMA. But actually, they're gonna lessen the restrictions on MDMA and other psychedelics, or to treat PTSD and stuff like that.
I saw so. I mean, this just, and again, it was an Instagram reel. Like nicotine treats all sorts of crazy things, which I was shocked. Coke sharks in the Bahamas.
That is true. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for sticking. Sorry around about the first time. I could see you guys commenting, and I was sitting there doing my spiel, talking, going through these cases, and I was seeing comments go by, and everyone was like, "You're late, you're late, you're late." I didn't know that you guys were saying I was late. I kept on saying, "What are you talking about? I'm not late." I didn't know you guys couldn't actually see or hear me. But yeah, that's kind of weird. All right, guys. I love you long time. And with that, we're out of here. Bye-bye.